Welcome to this explosive edition of Celebrity Showdowns, where the glittering world of daytime television turns into a battleground of bold opinions and unfiltered drama. Today, we're diving deep into the shocking incident that has set the internet ablaze and left fans of ITV's iconic chat show Loose Women reeling. The moment when acclaimed actress Emma Thompson was dramatically kicked off the set following a heated clash with veteran panelist Denise Welch. Picture this: it's a typical bustling morning in the Loose Women studio. The lights are bright, the audience is buzzing with anticipation, and the panel is ready to tackle the hot topics of the day, from celebrity scandals to societal debates. Emma Thompson, the Oscar-winning star known for her razor-sharp wit in films like Sense and Sensibility and her passionate environmental activism, steps in as a guest panelist, her presence alone commanding respect and curiosity. Denise Welch, the fiery Coronation Street alum and longtime Loose Women stalwart, sits across from her, her eyes sparkling with the trademark mix of humor and unapologetic candor. What starts as a lively discussion on women's rights in Hollywood quickly spirals into something far more personal and intense, exposing the raw undercurrents of generational divides and ideological clashes that simmer beneath the surface of polite television banter. As the cameras roll, Emma launches into a passionate monologue about the systemic inequalities faced by female actors over 50, drawing from her own experiences of being typecast and overlooked in an industry that idolizes youth. Her voice rises with conviction, citing statistics on how women like her are often sidelined for roles that go to younger, less experienced stars, and she doesn't hold back in criticizing the gatekeepers who perpetuate this cycle. The audience nods in agreement, applause rippling through the studio, but then Denise interjects, her tone laced with skepticism. "Emma, love, we've all been there," Denise says, leaning forward with a knowing smile, "but let's not pretend it's all doom and gloom, as some of us have carved out empires without the Oscars to back us up." It's a seemingly innocuous comment, but to Emma, it lands like a dismissal of her hard-fought battles, igniting a spark that neither woman could have anticipated. The tension builds as Emma counters, her British accent sharpening with each word, accusing Denise of trivializing the very real struggles that have defined her career. "It's easy to say when you've built a platform on reality TV and soap operas," Emma retorts, her eyes flashing, "but try fighting for authenticity in a world that wants you pretty and palatable." The studio falls silent for a beat. The other panelists, let's imagine seasoned hosts like Janet Street Porter and Nadia Sawalha, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Sensing the storm brewing, Denise's face hardens, her decades of defending her turf on live TV kicking in like muscle memory. She fires back, "Authenticity? Darling, I've been authentic since before you were winning BAFTA. Try raising a family while the tabloids tear you apart for your opinions." The exchange escalates rapidly, voices overlapping in a cacophony of interrupted sentences and pointed fingers, the audience gasping as the polite facade of the show crumbles. What was meant to be an empowering conversation about female solidarity devolves into a public airing of grievances, with Emma decrying the performative feminism she perceives in some daytime TV formats, and Denise defending her unscripted, no-holds-barred style as the true essence of real women's voices. Producers in the control room are scrambling, whispers of commercial breaks turning frantic as the monitors capture every heated glance and sarcastic quip. Finally, as Emma stands to emphasize her point, gesturing wildly, a stage manager intervenes, mic in hand, signaling the end of the segment, but it's too late. The damage is done, and in a move that's as unprecedented as it is dramatic, security is called to escort Emma from the set, her protests echoing down the hallway as the live feed cuts to an awkward ad break. This isn't just a spat, it's a seismic event in the annals of British telly, highlighting the fragile line between debate and discord on a show that's prided itself on raw honesty for over 2 decades. But to understand the full gravity, we have to rewind back to the build-up, the unspoken histories that made this collision inevitable. Emma Thompson, at 66, has long been a beacon of progressive causes. From her tearful speeches at climate rallies to her unyielding support for refugees and LGBTQ rights, her appearance on Loose Women was billed as a coup, a chance to bring highbrow insight to the heartland audience. But beneath her poised exterior lay frustrations from recent years' snubs at award shows, debates over ageism in casting, and a growing impatience with what she sees as superficial takes on feminism. Denise Welch, 67, embodies the scrappy survivor ethos of Northern Grit, a mother of 2 sons, including chart-topping musician Matty Healy of the 1975. She's navigated personal demons from addiction recovery to public scrutiny over her outspoken views on mental health and politics. Her tenure on Loose Women since 2005 has made her a fan favorite for her willingness to ruffle feathers, whether calling out celebrity hypocrisy or championing lockdown skeptics during the pandemic. Yet, whispers in media circles had hinted at backstage tensions on the show, with younger panelists occasionally clashing with the old guard over tone and topics. Emma's invitation came amid a push for star power, but no one foresaw how her intellectual fervor would chafe against Denise's street-smart retorts. As the segment kicked off, the topic was teed up innocently enough: how can Hollywood do better for women over 50? Emma dove in with anecdotes from her time on stage and screen, weaving in tales of audition rejections and the emotional toll of fighting for roles that honor mature complexity. She praised trailblazers like Meryl Streep but lamented the industry's slow pace, quoting a recent study showing only 22% of speaking roles go to women over 40. The panel murmured approval. But when the mic passed to Denise, the shift was palpable. "Look, Emma, you're a legend, no doubt," Denise began, her Geordie lilt warm yet edged. "But let's talk brass tacks. Shows like this give voices to everyday women who don't have your red carpet access. We're not waiting for permission, we're demanding it right here. Live." It was a nod to Loose Women's grassroots appeal, but Emma saw it as deflection, a way to sidestep the structural critique. Demanding it how? By shouting over each other on national TV? Emma shot back, her laugh brittle. The barb hit home, and Denise's cheeks flushed. Shouting? That's passion. PETA, something scripted blockbusters could use more of. The audience chuckled nervously, but the rift widened. Other panelists tried to media town Nadia, suggesting a round of applause for both perspectives, Janet quipping about men in power being the real enemy, but the die was cast. Emma, feeling cornered, escalated. Passion without substance is just noise, and this format often amplifies noise over nuance. Denise bristled, recalling her own battles against typecasting as the angry woman in soaps. Nuance. I've got nuance in spades. Try living it, not just lecturing from ivory towers. The personal turn stung, invoking class divides that have long simmered in British media. Emma, daughter of academics, versus Denise, the working class warrior. As accusations flaw, Emma calling out tokenism in guest spots, Denise retorting with elitism and critique. The studio energy turned electric, uncomfortable, unforgettable. And then, the tipping point. Emma, in a flourish, knocks over a water glass, symbolizing her frustration with spilled opportunities for women. Liquid spreads across the table, soaking papers and mix. Chaos ensuing as crew rush in. Producers, faces ashen in the booth, hit the panic button. Cut to break now. But the feed lingers a second too long, capturing Denise's triumphant smirk and Emma's defiant exit, arm linked by a sympathetic producer. Security at the door, not aggressive but firm, guides her out amid murmurs of "this way, Ms. Thompson." The screen fades to black on stunned silence, leaving millions wondering, was this scripted drama or a genuine fracture in the sisterhood? Social media erupts instantly. Loose women clash trends worldwide, with tweets hailing Emma as a truth teller and others backing Denise as the voice of the voiceless. News outlets scramble for quotes, Emma's rep issuing a terse "disappointed in the handling," while Denise tweets a cryptic "truth hurts is stay real, ladies." But this is just the spark. The firestorm that follows reshapes careers, exposes fault lines in feminist discourse, and questions the very format of unscripted TV. To grasp the depth, consider the cultural context. In an era of #Me Too reckonings and post-pandemic re-evaluations, shows like Loose Women serve as barometers for public sentiment. But when icons collide, the readings go off the charts. Emma's activism, from co-founding Justice for Domestic Workers to her vocal stance on Brexit, positions her as a moral compass, yet critics often label her preachy. Denise, conversely, thrives on relatability, her memoirs detailing raw struggles that resonate with everyday viewers. Their clash isn't isolated, it's the culmination of broader tensions in academia versus autodidacts, glamour versus gritty, in a media landscape hungry for authenticity but allergic to discomfort. As the day unfolds, behind-the-scenes footage leaks, or is strategically shared, showing Emma pacing the green room pre-show, rehearsing points on equity, while Denise jokes with crew about handling the posh bird. The irony? Both women, in their primes, have championed empowerment, yet here they are, undermining each other on live TV. The immediate fallout sees Loose Women ratings spike 30%, a silver lining for ITV execs, but at what cost? Emma retreats to her London home, penning a blistering op-ed for The Guardian on the pitfalls of performative allyship, dissecting how the incident underscores the need for mediated spaces in feminist dialogues. Denise, ever the fighter, appears on a podcast the next day, laughing off the hysteria and praising Emma's talent while standing by her defense of the show's ethos. "We need more Emmas," she concedes, but diluted with a bit of Welch spice. Fans are divided. Petitions circulate for Emma's return, counter ones demanding Denise's apology. Pundits weigh in. Is this progress, exposing hypocrisies, or regression, pitting women against women? The incident ripples outward, inspiring think pieces on class and feminism, ageism in media, and the ethics of live broadcasting. Celebrities chime in. Helen Bonham Carter sides with Emma, calling it a witch hunt, while Colleen Nolan, a Loose Women vet, mediates with both legends, both right in their lanes. As weeks pass, reconciliations brew. A joint interview proposed, though egos loom large. Yet, the scar remains, a reminder that even in sisterhood's name, clashes can kick icons to the curb. This story, at its core, is about power, who wields it, who challenges it, and what happens when the mix amplify the mess. Picking up from the stunned silence that blanketed the Loose Women studio after Emma Thompson's unceremonious exit, let's peel back the layers of what really transpired in those fateful minutes, exploring the psychological undercurrents and the masterful or misguided art of on-air confrontation. In the aftermath, as the ad break stretched interminably, the panel sat frozen, water still dripping from the table like tears from a wounded argument. Janet Street Porter, the show's acerbic elder, broke the ice with a wry well that escalated quickly, eliciting tentative laughs from the audience, but the damage lingered like a bad aftertaste. Off-camera, producers huddled in crisis mode, phones buzzing with alerts from network heads demanding explanations. "What the hell was that?" barked one exec, as clips already circulated on TikTok, amassing millions of views in under an hour. Emma, meanwhile, in the corridor, her elegant blouse damp from the spill, composes herself with deep breaths honed from years of stage fright. She's no stranger to public scrutiny. Recall her 2019 UN speech on ocean plastics, where she wept openly about "this feels different, more visceral," a betrayal by the very medium meant to amplify women's stories. Denise, back at the desk, sips water with steady hands, her mind racing through retorts she wishes she'd landed sharper. She's weathered storms before, the 2020 vaccine debates that pitted her against co-hosts, earning her the controversial tag, or the Meghan Markle row in 2022 where she exploded at Gloria Hunniford over royal commentary. But this feels like a crown jewel tarnished. As the show resumes, the panel pivots awkwardly to lighter fairy summer fashion tips, but the elephant in the room trumpets loudly. Viewers at home sense it, flooding socials with reactions. Emma slayed, Denise stay mad, versus Denise spoke facts. Emma too bougie. The binary outrage machine whirs to life. Hashtags fracturing into camps, memes morphing the water glass into a symbol of feminist fury. To dissect the clash's anatomy, consider the debate's pivot point, when Emma pivoted from industry stats to personal jabs, invoking soap opera sensationalism as antithetical to literary depth. It was a low blow, rooted perhaps in her literary heritage, a daughter of scriptwriter Philida Lowell, but it struck Denise where it hurt, reducing her illustrious career to caricature. Denise's riposte, labeling Emma's views ivory tower idealism, echoed class resentments that have fueled British culture wars for centuries, from Shaw's Pygmalion to modern Brexit divides. Psychologists later chime in, terming it a classic status inversion conflict, where high-status guests, Emma, with her damehood, inadvertently belittle low-status incumbents, Denise, the panel regular, triggering defensive escalations. The body language experts on YouTube break it down frame by frame, Emma's crossed arms signaling closure, Denise's forward lean asserting territory, the spilled water as Freudian slip for uncontainable emotions. Yet, beyond the psychobabble, there's poetry in the pandemonium, a raw enactment of how women's anger is policed differently. Emma's passion reads as hysteria, justifying her removal. Denise's as feisty, earning applause. It's a double standard writ large, one that Emma herself has railed against in interviews, decrying how women's rage is villainized while men's is valorized. The kicking off, then, wasn't mere logistics, it was a microcosm of societal ejection. The establishment, ITV, preserving order by sidelining the disruptor. In the hours post-show, Emma's team works over to Mia statements drafted, allies rallied, her husband, Greg Wise, offers quiet support via text. You were magnificent, as always. Friends in the industry, from Kate Winslet to Stephen Fry, flood her with messages of solidarity. Fry tweeting, Emma's truth is timeless, Telly's too small for it. Denise, fielding calls from her sons, Maddie quipping, Mum, you went full gladiator, proud but pack an ice vest next time. Her husband Lincoln sketches a cartoon of the scene, a gift to lighten the load. But privately, doubts creep. Was her defense of the show a betrayal of broader sisterhood? Loose women's history is rife with such moments. Recall the 2018 row over plastic surgery where panelists turned on each other, or the 2021 trans rights debate that divided fans, yet none escalated to ejection, making this a watershed. ITV issues a boilerplate response. Passionate discussions are the heart of Loose Women. We regret any discomfort caused, but insiders whisper of deeper rifts or ratings pressures pushing edgier content, but with kill switches for when it tips into toxicity. Emma, from her Hampstead haven, reflects on the irony, invited to empower, ejected for empowering too fiercely. She journals furiously, lines that will fuel her next script. In the arena of airwaves, the loudest fall first. Meanwhile, Denise attends an emergency panel huddle, where co-hosts air grievances and Nadia advocating for de-escalation training, Janet suggesting no sacred cows rules. The meeting devolves into laughter over wine, bonding over shared battle scars, but resolve hardens, protect the format at all costs. As night falls, the story metastasizes a tabloid splash dame drama, Thompson Dost. With paparazzi staking out both homes, Emma dodges them gracefully, heading to a theater rehearsal. Denise flips them off from her Manchester doorstep. True to form, the public devours it all, viewership for the next episode surging as voyeurs tune in for aftershocks. Commentators laud the authenticity. Finally, TV showing women's complexities, not caricatures. Feminists dissect it in webinars, asking if such clashes advance or hinder the cause. Emma's camp leaks audio of her pre-show nervous "I just want to connect" to humanizing her, while Denise shares a throwback photo with her mum, captioning "learned to fight from the best." The narrative threads weave a tapestry of triumph and tragedy, where two titans tussle illuminates the labyrinth of fame, but the real intrigue lies in the reconciliation or lack thereof. Will Emma return, mic in hand, to bridge the divide? Or does this mark the end of an era, where guest stars opt for safer shores like the Graham Norton Show? Speculation swirls, but one thing's clear, this clash has recalibrated the conversation on women's spaces and media, forcing a reckoning with how we handle heat when the kitchen gets too hot. From the spilled water to the silenced exit, it's a lesson in liquidity of emotions, alliances, and the fluid nature of public personas. As we transition to the broader implications, remember, in the Game of Thrones that is television, you either play the queen or get checkmated by the pawn.